Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and I have a couple of quick little cards to share with you today. Hey, I'll be using the fancy topper die, the scallop slider and topper, gnome kisses, Cupid airlines, heart dies, cloud stencil, and our rainbow dies. And I'm also using these adorable Valentine gnomes from Dorky Doodles. How cute are they? I'm using my Mind's Eye Filled with Love 6-inch pad. So I'm just going to put together two super quick cards, and they're made super quick by using this adorable printed clip art from Dorky Doodles. And of course, a bunch of dies from Jaded Blossom and sentiment stamps, of course. So I've pulled out my Distress ink in aged mahogany. This is a color I don't use very often. And I haven't pulled out my Distress inks in a while also, so that's a little strange. That's a Ranger blending tool. And I'm just applying the ink to the edges of my hearts and my pattern paper is what my plan is. Now all this pattern paper, is from my Mind's Eye Filled with Love 6-inch pad that I showed you. And I'm just running this all along the edges, just to define it. I'm bringing in blue with these pinks and reds so they can go with the clip art. And it was kind of a happy accident, actually. The Spring Rain cardstock from Paper Tray Ink is like pretty much a perfect match for the blue that's in the clip art from Dorky Doodles. So that was kind of handy. So there we are, just adding this ink along the edges. So how are things going where you live with this whole COVID thing? Are the vaccines getting out like they're supposed to be getting out? It's a question I'm always curious about to see how people are doing in different parts of the world. Okay, so here we are. This is a piece of Paper Tray Ink Spring Rain cardstock cut at 4.25 by 11, scored at 5.5 with my Teflon bone folder there. That's my Martha Stewart scoreboard. And I'm just folding two vertical A2 sized cards. There we go. So here we are slowly getting vaccinated here. Right now, my daughter just was vaccinated with her first one. She's a med student, and my son is a nurse at our hospital, and he is getting his tonight. So I don't know, it's just taking longer than what I think it should take personally, but that's just me. So here we go. So of course I used my ATG gun to tape down this first layer, and you'll see I left this in because, this is my normal life. This is what I do. I mess things up. So I realized, darn it, it's not lined up, and guess what happens? Yes, I rip the card base. I do. And this happens all the time. It's like, damn it. Okay, so I turned it off and I got them centered because obviously I couldn't center them on while the video was playing today. I don't know why. So those are my two dies that I cut out of that same Spring Rain cardstock. That is the scalloped slider and topper and the fancy topper. That's the fancy topper there. And I'm using our cloud stencils, and I'm just basically pouncing on wedding dress Memento Luxe ink through the little cloud holes. So I'm adding some of my own clouds to this paper. And you could use any white ink. I'm just going for like a subtle look. And this is like a pigment ink, so it kind of sits on top of the cardstock. So that's what I was going for. And that is also the Spring Rain cardstock, like I said, from Paper Tray Ink. So it just cuts so great with Jaded Blossom's dies, like fabulous. And as I've said before, I usually use my Gemini machine to cut out, to do, for all my die cutting. There we go. So I'm just pouncing on a little bit more coverage because I thought they weren't as opaque as I would have liked. There we are. So like I said, we're still waiting for everybody, like the general population here, to be getting vaccinated. My mom is over 75. And of course the age limit here in our city is 80. They want 80 and older to be getting their vaccines. So my mom still hasn't had hers yet, which is a bit of a bummer. I was kind of hoping, I kind of want her to get vaccinated. She's the one that's most at risk. There we go. So now these are the clouds that I cut from our rainbow die set. They're my favorite clouds from Jaded Blossom, and they are cut out of Paper Tray Ink white cardstock. And I'm just going to stick them down. using my Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky ink glue. Sorry, I was going to say ink. It's crazy. I was going to say ink, but I meant glue. So I'm just sticking those down. That little holder for my glue, that came from Make It by Marco. It's a neat little Etsy shop that has these neat holders for your glue, and I use it all the time. It's really good. There we go. So that's my EK Success tweezers, and I'm just applying those clouds. I kind of want like a little cloudy background for my floating gnomie, for my little gnome. So there we are. I love how these are colored too. The clip art is just beautiful. I love it. So, and like I didn't have to color it. So yay me, right? It's a good fast way to make some cards, let me tell you. And she's got some adorable images to use. There we go. So now I'm popping it up with my Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. It's kind of my fave. Get everything all peeled off there with my no nail situation. There we go. Fun and games. Anyway. So yeah, our city's numbers are kind of cranking back up again, which isn't very fun. I live in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada. So that's a bit of a bummer. So, you know, trying not to go out very much as a result. There we are. So now that cute little gnome is popped up on my card. Like, how cute is that? And as a result, I'm crafting in my basement, which makes me happy. That's where my craft room is. So now I'm doing a little bit of stamp surgery. That stamp set that I'm using from Jaded Blossom is called Cupid Airlines. And you can cut stamps. You know, they go right back together. You can stamp them the way they're meant to be later. But I wanted this to stamp on my card base. Well, I start out that way. I change my mind, of course, but that's how I start out. So I'm using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I'm going to stamp with an acrylic block. And you notice, oh, I got some ink on the edge there. That would make a mess. So we're going to check it out, and it's like, yikes. Got to wipe that off because that'll get on the card, and then we'll be in trouble. There we go. So, yeah, so like I said, I've been kind of hanging around home, only getting groceries and stuff like that, picking up my mom's groceries still. There we are. So we got Love Is, and then I'm going to put In the Air, which is kind of, you know, a little punny for this little Valentine's Day gnome. Now, this does not have to be for Valentine's Day. It can just be an I love you card, I miss you card. Now, I thought, you know, I just don't like the look of it. I don't like the look of the stamping on the background. I don't know. But I'm going to trim off the edges of the clouds so my card will fit into an A2 size envelope. And I'm still stewing about it. So I grab the striped paper from the same pad, and I decide I'm going to do stamping on the pink stripes. And then I will fussy cut out my sentiments and pop it up. So that's what I end up doing here. So I'm stamping again with VersaFine Onyx Black ink and using, you know, just an acrylic block. And I'm going to cut those out, as you can see. I'm just using a pair of normal scissors, and I'll just cut these out and pop them up. There we go. And as I said, our city's kind of in the, you know, like stores are open, but they're limiting the amount of people in. You know, restaurants are more for takeout, stuff like that. So we're not open, excuse me. But I really can't see us getting any more open than we are now. If not, maybe going back down to lockdown a little bit, because like I said, our numbers are kind of crazy here, which is a crying shame. Let me tell you, it's a crying shame. There we go. So Love Is, and then I will pop up In the Air. And I used my 3M foam tape for that. There we go. Or I think I used my 3M foam tape. I can't remember now if I cut the edge of my Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. Anyway, so now I'm using 3 enamel shaped hearts. They're called the Rainbow Hearts from Doodlebug in the white. They're kind of a creamy color, actually. But I'm just going to pop 3 on my background. And Bob's your uncle. Like, how cute is that? Now I'm going to use some glossy accents. I decided the balloon needed to be shiny because, you know, why not? And I find when you're using clip art, the best way to use clip art is, you know, you want to pop it up. And on top of that, you want to add embellishments to it. You want to make it, give it a little bit more weight on your card base if you're using it for a card. And I find Glossy Accents does that. You can add some shimmer, you can add some glossy accents, whatever. It's just a great way to make your clip art have a little bit more presence, I find. There we go. So how cute is that? Yeah, I love that. Now with my clip art, I do cut my clip art always with my Brother Scan and Cut with a 0.4 inch border. So now that is my scalloped slider and topper dies from Jaded Blossom. And that's actually for a treat, but you could use it for a background. I do it all the time. Now these are heart dies from their heart dies. And these hearts were all cut out of that same pattern paper filled with love from my mind's eye. And these are just two really simple Lovie cards with gnomes on them. Who doesn't like that, right? Who doesn't like a couple of Gnomie cards? I know I do. I just love gnomes. They're too darn cute. There we go. Now Jaded Blossom also has some adorable gnomes that you can color. And an adorable little gnome sentiments that you can use. So, keep that in mind. And if you're lazy, you can get some gnome clip art and just print out some clip art and put them on your cards and use Jaded Blossom dies and stamps to zhuzh it all up. That would be cute too. There we go. So now I'm stamping back on my card base again. You notice I did some stamp surgery. This is Be My Gnomie. And normally it's in one line, but I decided to cut it in half so it can fill the space better. And it makes you use your stamps more when you cut them the way you want them. Now you notice, see, I didn't get a good stamped image. So that's what Copic multi-liners are for. You go in there and you can, if you've used black ink, you can go in there and fix it and no one will know. Just you and me. We'll know that I messed up the stamping, but no one else will know I messed up the stamping. There we go. So now I'm going to pop up this adorable little gnome with some 3M foam tape. And what I like about 3M foam tape is that you can tear it, which is kind of nice. And I'm also using some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals, some minis, some normals, some leftover edges, what have you. See, you can just rip the edges off. Like, you don't have to throw away anything. Use it all. Give your card some dimension, which is, the best part of card making, right, is dimension. Dimension is life. I think that's Laura Basson, sorry, always says that, and I love her videos. Okay, so there we go. So I've just popped up my adorable gnome. I can't believe I forgot Laura Basson's last name. Like, how is that how is that possible? There we are. So now I'm going to add some glossy accents to the hearts that this gnome is carrying. And what I do is I add some to every second one. And that way the glossy accents don't run into each other. Now, if I wanted to do all of them, I would do every second one, let them dry, and then come back and fill in. But I just wanted to do every second one to add a little bit of interest. So that's what I did. And I love how this turned out. It gives us some shine and it just looks adorable. Like, how cute is that? Adorable. There we go. So now, of course, I've got to bring out my favorite. And everyone knows what's my favorite. My favorite is Nouveau Crystal Drops. This one is actually in, what's it called? Party Pink. And I have most colors. I just use white and black the most. But this color matched perfectly. Like, what are the chances, right? So I just had to go with it. So it's just so cute. So I just sort of scatter them, straddling the image, straddling the sentiment. That's what I tend to do. How cute is that? I love it. So thank you so much for stopping by today and hanging out with me. And make sure to head on over to Jaded Blossom to buy some dies and stamps, and over to Dorky Doodles to get yourself some clip art. Thanks, everyone. See you soon. Bye.